Welcome back to Authors Aloud. Today is extra special because we've got one of my good friends joining us. Gregg Potter is here, author of Thursday Thoughts, a short weekly email to feed you even if you're not hungry.
This book is getting a year's worth of wisdom, honesty, and a little bit of no filter realness, all wrapped up in weekly reflections. So, Greg started writing these emails as a way to keep his writing practice alive and to share what was on his mind about collaboration and life. The response was so powerful that he decided to bring them together in a book.
And now we get to talk with him about the journey. Greg, welcome.
Welcome, Greg.
Hi, ladies. How are
Hi.
you?
Good.
So good. Tell us
Gosh,
Where are you?
I couldn't
Where are
think of
you
a better.
joining us from?
Northern Wisconsin.
Okay.
The
I
most-
don't know Wisconsin well, so what? And I mean, I know North.
It is.
But
Good job, Kristin.
thank you.
It is about, if you're familiar with maybe where Eau Claire is, it's about 45 minutes north of Eau Claire.
I think I've been to Eau Claire.
I'm
Maybe
about-
halfway
Yeah.
up the state.
2 hours east of the Twin Cities.
Okay. Yeah. When I was on this horrible children's theater tour to get my equity card, we toured all over the place. And I remember there were several, I think Eau Claire was one of the places we went. Yeah. And we did the little, I don't know why this is important. It's not, but we did the little red, what was that story? The little red engine,
The little engine that could?
the little engine that could, but it was a musical version.
Oh, that's adorable.
It was cute. I was Rusty, the old engine.
Oh, no, Kristin.
Oh,
That's
She was sweet and full of wisdom and
She
had the
was.
biggest song in the show. So
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well,
my road to equity was a very different.
please tell me.
I mean, it was just, I lived in Vegas. It was very accessible to work and get it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually just thinking. I read. The little engine that could was read to me ad nauseum as a child, and I'm just thinking maybe that really influenced my entire life.
I think I can. I
Yeah, I think this may have been ingrained. It did its job.
I feel like your
Yeah,
next birthday party needs to be that as a theme so we can close the loop.
Ooh.
I like it. Well, we're gonna have to have a Barbie party first, but listen, let's start here. Okay, so what made you decide to hit send on the very first Thursday email? Because they are really, really wonderful. I have the book. I get the emails. Tell
Show us
me.
the book.
Do.
Nice.
Yes, I'm really excited. And then Greg was kind enough to inscribe it for me. Just says, Ashley, I love you so much. Gregg Potter.
Aw, I love that.
I mean, love. That's all. Now, what was the question?
What made you decide
get-
to hit send on the very first Thursday email? Because now it's a tradition. We look forward to it every Thursday. I understand there's a follow-up book coming, but what made you start this in the first place?
Well, I just launched the Institute, the International Institute on Collaboration, and I was beating myself up about not getting 2 of the prior book done that I had been working on, and those commitments, and losing my integrity. And I was like, okay, I've got to do something. And I kind of wrote that out and said, okay, it's, there's so much power in sharing our story and sharing what's going on.
Mhm.
And so that
Yeah.
was kind of the nudge to hit send. And then I
Awesome.
did it for a couple weeks, but then people started sending back their thoughts. And I was like, oh, this,
Well, that
this is
kind of
being
leads
read.
in. This kind of leads into what I was going to ask next, which is when did you realize that people were really connecting with what you were writing? Was it the first time somebody emailed back, or was there a specific moment?
Well, there was a specific moment. I broke my glasses in
Okay.
2024. I don't know, Ashley, if you remember, I had tape, and it was a while. Since I just started the company and I was working in the just getting cash flow going, I was like, this is not how I'm going to spend more money. And so
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
I've
keep-
totally been there.
I'm going to keep my glasses. So I wrote about how much of a convener that these broken glasses are. I would get looks of oh, I'm so sorry, I could never go out in public. And then I'd get this amazing lady at the grocery store checkout line being like, I love what your look is, like all of it. And then they would be audacious and I would, so I wrote on that and then I got like 15 plus emails back and my listserv is not huge. Like it's a good size, but like, but to
Mhm.
get that many emails back saying like either sharing a story or saying like, thank you for sharing this. This gave me strength today to do this or
Yeah.
whatever it was like, oh, okay. There's something going on.
Have you thought about sharing some of the stories you've gotten back? I mean, of course, with permission, but things that people have said to you or like inside or their own stories or that kind of thing?
Well, actually, part of the bringing the book to fruition was to involve some of that, to like keep the,
Mm.
to illuminate how this is an intersection for so many thoughts. So, on some of the, in the book, on some of the ends of the Thursday Thoughts email, I would include additional stories or what happened after the thing was sent or finishes or conclusions to what was happening.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah, I'll say.
Ashley's thinking.
I know sometimes people just think I'm paused. So, Greg, you mentioned not wanting your emails to be a sales pitch. Obviously, we send emails because we want people to know who we are, and you want people to know about the International Institute on Collaboration. But why was it so important to you that this not be a sales pitch?
Because my placement in this world is to center the connections and the humanity, and that I wanted to keep very true to that value of my life. And yes, there's still the email, there's still offerings and things that are sales pitchy in the email, but the centering is like, I'm a human, you're a
Mm.
human. Let's be humans together. And then
Yeah.
if you find this valuable, there's other ways to work with me. I think that that is the best possible sales pitch, actually.
So tell me, because I don't know about it. Tell me about the Institute for Collaboration.
The
Is it for or on?
on But
On.
either way, Institute on Collaboration Works, Institute International, yeah. International
Whatever. Tell us the full title, and then I want to hear about it a little bit.
the International Institute on Collaboration centers collaborative
Got it.
intelligence. So we
Okay.
look at how does every team on a collaborative team build their collaborative intelligence to create the most impactful and effective outcomes. In that collaboration. And collaborative intelligence includes self-awareness on how to
Hmm.
like really growing to the point where my self-awareness is so strong that now our collaborative team self-awareness is also strong. Uh,
Hmm.
Friendliness to collaborate, which is reverence, which is needed more and more every day. And being able to find love for everyone else on the collaborative team. And then skill
Hmm.
sets like transformational leadership, conflict resolution, and facilitation. How do those three skill sets work into this toolbox so that every collaborator is fully equipped to go move forward with their task that they're leading in that collaboration?
I think this is
That's
so interesting, actually, because
yeah.
um, one of the things I've thought about the institute is most people believe that they are great collaborators, but you can definitely point to someone else who's a terrible collaborator. But it does take a lot to be self-aware that you need some work in that department. And um, thinking back on my early thoughts about even group projects in college, I would have rather done 7 times as much work as a lone wolf than be in a group. And there's this great old joke about how I'm going to have the members of my group project from college lower me into the ground when I die so that they can let me down one last time. You know, that's that's supposed to teach you to be so collaborative, and it really the experience was I just came out of, like, the group projects in college hating collaborating with people because, it was just such a mixed bag. So, tell me, what are the challenges really to being so self-aware that you're willing to examine and then work on those skill sets?
Well, when I think of someone who's a great collaborator, I always think of like my interns because when you intern with any member of the team needs to take the collaborative intelligence assessment. And so we will have an intern will take it and they'll score the highest scores on on all 5 of those categories
Oh,
of
that's
those
so
building blocks.
interesting.
Wow.
And then I'll say, okay, why do you believe this? and what has your experience showed? And then I use that with my facilitation skills, use that as the leverage point of like, well, what if you were in this situation? Would you feel like you'd
Mhm.
be equipped? And then reminding that there's no good or bad, there's no judgment here, but I need
Mhm.
to help you see beyond your tunnel vision, beyond your these things. I
Yeah.
couldn't think of that.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Blinders,
Blinders.
blinders. You can't
Blinders,
see past the
yeah.
Blinders.
blinders.
So, but then I also think about my group experience in like undergrad and grad school. And the thing that comes to mind always is this huge project that we had to do in graduate school, which was assessing the legal needs of low income Arkansans. So, out of the like 750,000 low income people in Arkansas, we had to assess their legal needs, four of us in grad school. And, to not get into the how we did it, but it got to a point where, three of us were on one very level plane. We'd go to sleep and wake up, and the fourth person would have like sent all these edits, would have changed things around. But then when we pull back and look at that objectively without judgment and without attachment to expectation or outcomes, we see that I see that she contributed so much. And if it wasn't for her doing those things, we would never have been published in like all these different journals and stuff,
Wow.
So
That's such a good point that you make. That is really such a good point that you make. One of the things I'm going to brag on Ashley for a minute here.
Oh,
One of the things I love so much about what she's created at my VA Rocks is that we joke that it's a cult, right? Because all of the
yeah.
things that you're talking about are so from the top down ingrained into how we relate. And when we're having meetings, one of the things that I personally love, I tend to be a controller, right? I know where it comes from. I know why I'm that way. I try to pull back when necessary, but I love learning when I'm wrong, right?
Mm,
I love learning when something isn't working. I'm not offended. People always are like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "I don't care. I'm a human being." And what you just said is so interesting because sort of that idea of everybody collaborates differently, right? And
mhm.
then looking at it in terms of what is each person giving, right? I love that idea of backing up and not being tied to what feels like your baby and going, wait, but maybe this person's saying something I didn't consider,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
I love
right.
that.
Well, I
And
would
I
just like to
love that.
clarify for listeners who are not
We're
familiar
not a
with the
cult.
cult of my VA Rocks. It's a great place to work, and
It is.
people love it. So, we tend to
It's the
keep
best place I've ever worked.
we tend to keep good people around for a
Yeah.
nice long time. But one thing that I will say about that kind of collaboration, and it's possible that part of this came from Greg, and it's also, I tend to listen and process and listen and process. But someone gave me the advice that if you have a team and you really want them to have um, input on what you're doing and what you're creating, at the end you will not love every part of it. The mission will be slightly different, the way you did things will be slightly different, and you just won't absolutely love it in the same way that you would if you had created it from the ground up, listening to no one else. And that is vital to an organization growing, that it is not just you, it's not the baby that lives inside you, it is
Right.
the baby that lives in the world. And allowing other people to help it grow and shape it and do what they do best is really the way that let an organization do what it wants to do. And hopefully that is grow like the Dickens.
Yeah. And it is. So, yay. So, talk about collaboration a little more. It's such a theme for you. Can you share a moment for yourself when collaboration like completely shifted how something turned out?
can you say that question in another way?
Sure. Is there a time in your life that you can think of that collaboration maybe shifted your perspective in an unexpected way?
It's happened in so many ways. I asked you that once so I could get a little more time, and two, to think about where specifically. What happened in as we got out of the pandemic was realizing that it's always been collaboration. We watch these, these
Mm,
these beautiful love stories and rom-coms. We're like, "Oh, but it's always been you." Well, it's always been collaboration. I think about the thea
I like that.
I
I like
I
that.
think about my theater background and, like, what a better display of collaboration, but all these actors and the director and the stage manager and the lighting designer and the set designer, like, to produce that. I think about my years in Starbucks, and when I was training to become a district manager in LA, I was running one of the Starbucks with the best numbers, and it was always innovative. We were in a Starbucks that was in the bottom of the Twin Towers, is in the basement. So we didn't
Mm,
get just randoms off the street. We knew about 80% of our customers.
sure.
And
Wow.
so our numbers were so fast in the morning. And it wasn't just that, like, it was fast. We were connecting. People would get their drink at the register and we'd be like, "Oh, how was the time with your daughter last night?" Like, we were having, like, and that connection. And at one point, because it was so intimate and so, like, we had a collaboration where someone came down at their 10 o'clock break from the HBO studios and said, "It's the World Cup next week. If you had a TV down here, you'd be packed." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." So I called my the facilities person, and then I got a hold of the building people, and we got 2 TVs down there, and then
That's
for the
great.
next week, and packed constantly. It was like a pub
Hmm.
in, like, Britain. And my DM and Howard Schultz come into the store, who was the
Oh my
CEO at the time,
goodness.
and he's like, "What is going on?" And so, but, like, it was such a beautiful reflection, and, like, and toting my in my tuning my own horn for a moment, but, like,
Yeah.
wow, but that collaboration could not have happened if they weren't so many intricate players that are already bought in. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's always been
And that
collaboration.
guy got nothing from telling you that. Do you know what I mean? Like, he
Well, he
didn't
maybe got to watch the
gain
World
He
Cup.
got to, yeah.
sure, but what I mean is he didn't gain anything he didn't have to share that info with you. He wanted to share that info with you because this could be super successful, right? And it's not his success that's happening there. I think that's an interesting point. I think that, like, when you were talking about theater as well, if you came from, like, you and I have talked about before, coming from a theater background, you collaboration is everything. It's why you love doing stage work, right? It's like why we all love doing it. And it's just sort of in you. So it makes sense to me that collaboration is so built into how you think because that's where you come from, right?
Completely. And one
Yeah.
step beyond that, because, yeah, that makes so much sense. And one step beyond that is, I love that you said that he wasn't getting anything out of it. It was actually a joke. It was a throw off comment. But the acting and the listening skills allowed me to, like, not let that go.
Sure.
Like, "Oh, actually, that was an invitation." And then
Yeah.
later in life, because that was what, my late 20s, later in life, I have a different set of language to speak of that moment than, as opposed that I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, that was a funny joke, but we actually can do something about it." You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Ashley, I'm gonna let you take the next one.
Thank you. So, Greg, you give readers permission to read the book out of order. If somebody only has 10 minutes, is there a particular Thursday thought that you'd recommend they start with?
In that book, definitely the glasses, or the early on, I talk about getting rid of my paper planner, and
Mm-hmm.
it was one of the early ones, and that got a lot of resonance, but it's a good way to those 2 are both good ways to, uh, sit in with me with humility and
Yes.
also experience what collaboration can be, There's
Mm.
another powerful one in that set that is, was your meeting, I'm not going to say it right, but was your meeting impactful, or did that meeting serve you? Because part of the collaboration is breaking down these old systems, and looking at
Mhm.
meetings, and, like, a meeting is supposed to be collaborative. It's a mini collaboration in the collaboration, and it has to have an objective and a purpose, and it should serve
Mhm.
everyone that follows in. If not, you should have just sent some emails or got on the phone. So that
Mm.
specific share about our meetings also really resonates with people.
Hmm. Was there ever anything that you thought, "I can't share this, it's too personal"?
No, I mean, okay, we can be adults on this podcast, right? I'm not gonna start
Sure.
spouting off swear words, but, uh, I once won the Moth, the storytelling contest, about
Oh
talking
my
That's
about
God.
a very adult situation with
Okay.
men in Cape Town.
Okay.
That's all
Yep.
I'll say for
I'm
this podcast.
I'm I'm
So
right there with
so
you.
I
I
get
understand the
I
references.
am I am not bashful about talking about
Sure.
anything. The
Yeah.
book, I don't bring all of that in. This was 2025 has seen a little bit more of it, but that's a separate book. One day I will write
Yeah.
a separate book, but take the quick answer is no, I'm not really hiding anything.
Yeah. I get it. I'm that same kind of person. I'm here it all is probably too much.
but people really connect with that. I mean, to your point, everybody has had situations where it might not be glasses that need to be taped together, but something where you had to be scrappy and resourceful, and everybody has had just everybody has had these sort of core experiences that make us
Mhm,
who we
mhm.
are and make us really relate well to one another. I have a whole thing that you have to be vulnerable to let people in, because no one wants to be friends with a cardboard cutout of you. They want to be friends with you.
The
The
only way to get closer to another human is self-disclosure.
All right. I'm gonna noodle that.
I'm noodling that one as well. I see what can I say that in another way, how I
You
interpret that?
absolutely can.
Is vulnerability. Yep.
Exactly.
Is like to
Yeah.
get closer to each other, we need to be vulnerable and honest.
I feel like Greg, you probably have a similar thinking space about vulnerability as I do. Vulnerability comes very easy for me. It's not hard for me. I know it's hard for some people. It's just not hard for me. That does not make me a great person. That's just how I was born. I've always, or maybe partially created through my childhood as well. However, so I always felt like, well, I know some people struggle with vulnerability. And if I'm good at vulnerability, I might as well just go ahead and be super vulnerable and say all of the things that
Mm,
maybe allow someone else to hear their experience. Right?
Completely. Modeling it
Yeah.
is so important. Actually, I
Yeah.
have one of the upcoming Thursday thoughts is gonna be talking about me being at a bachelorette party where we just got all talking about sex because I was open and honest about it. And
Yep.
then next thing we know, we're all having this beautiful moment, like 16 of us, where everyone is being so honest about their issues with being intimate in that way. And it
Mm.
wouldn't have happened if someone wasn't modeling it in the first place.
Yeah.
I cannot
Yeah.
imagine a scenario I like less than talking about sex with 16 other people. There's just
I
something.
would love it.
Oh, I remember as a kid being told, you don't want to tell someone something very personal about you because then they have it to lord over you. I'm not sure who gave me this advice. I'm nearly positive that it was a parent, but surprising no one today, I have a bajillion surface level friendships and 4 close friends. So maybe don't tell your kids that.
With as we mature, our frontal lobes get developed, and then emotional intelligence is, built even higher. I think that there is, one of our good friends, Ashley, is, a politician who also is sometimes quoted too much. And there's a beauty, being older and being that vulnerable because the opposite of maybe a parent had said
Yeah.
to you is like, well, if I've told them everything, what can they use against me? Like, there's nothing that they can like,
Yeah.
whoop-de-doo. Like,
Yeah. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed. So what are you going to do? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of politicians, I met a woman who's I think she's in the Wisconsin Assembly, but she represents Baraboo, which is like the historic home of
circus world.
Barnum and Bailey Circus. Yeah. So they have a like
Oh.
open year-round circus museum, and she was a circus clown for years and then went on to be, I think she was like the head of the Boys and Girls Club, and
Oh.
then that is what spun her into her political career. But one of the things she said is they already have 20 years of photos of me being an actual clown. What are they going to do? I mean, and I think actually I use that as an example of why you should not be afraid to go into politics, because you probably don't have 20 years worth of you dressed up as an actual clown, so you're gonna be fine. Whatever you think is too embarrassing or you're gonna be dragged through the mud. Well, I mean, here's a woman who was an actual clown.
Actual clown.
Actual clown, yeah.
It would only be worse if she were a mime.
Oh, shameful.
But that's so true, though. Me and this
Why? Why
friend
is that true?
no, not the mime part, sorry.
Oh, well, that is 100% true.
I'm gonna demand respect for mimes. This is the hill I'll die on. Mimes, I'm kidding. They don't deserve.
We we are in a place though where it all sits out there. I mean, the first thing that I got pseudo famous for, or like a celebrity for, was a podcast that me and the same person I just mentioned did when we lived in Los Angeles. And it's out there somewhere. And we, I talked about getting robbed by a trick. I talked about like it's all out there. So why be I'm not going to be bashful about it. This really took a wild turn. Thank you
I
for
love
asking
it.
this question, Kristen.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
What do you hope someone feels when they close the book after reading it?
I hope they feel seen and heard
Mm.
because
Mhm.
because what they're reading is mirroring a part of them,
Mm-hmm.
and that they feel like they've gained another friend, like someone that
Mhm.
understands them and is not going to judge them and is going to hold their life as sacred while they're maneuvering the craziness of this in their meat set.
And so think it's along those same lines, how do you share your story and allow other people space to find their own meaning in it?
I believe many times at the end of an email, I'll ask questions or I'll leave an open-ended
Mm.
thought, or sometimes I'll put an
Mhm.
activity in there. So it's really not leaving the space, but creating the space or illuminating the space that this is a conversation. I might just be
Yeah.
reading it, writing it, and sending it to you, but there are ways that we can continue in dialogue if you need to do that, whether it's emailing back or follow me on social media, or just sitting with it and doing it with yourself, or bringing it to your team. I get many emails where people say, oh, we had this conversation in our morning meeting, and because of this, it's one of the most powerful things when I was learning my facilitation skills in social change theory was that the conversation you're having with the people you're facilitating with is,
Mhm.
look at all the dynamics of this conversation. So you're having it with them, they're having one with their head, in their head, they're having one with the people around them, they're going to have one when they leave the room. It's just finding that sacred and not just overlooking it.
That's great. That's something to look forward to for anybody that wants to pick this book up, is the fact that it's not just them reading your experiences, but also being prompted to think about their own. I like that. I like that a lot.
Me
Thank
too.
you.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we have to ask, Greg, what's next for the International Institute on Collaboration?
Well,
Oh.
we're finishing being registered in South Africa because we have an informal hub right now in Cape Town, but we're going to be completely registered by the end of the year. Um, at the same time as, I mean, I think I can say this now. It's been announced in Cape Town. I'm about to be announced as an ambassador to the city of Cape Town by the mayor's
Amazing.
office. So that's a whole different story. But then
It's huge.
thank
Congratulations.
It's
you.
huge.
Thank you. But another thing is we're looking at Toronto of creating a hub in Canada, and we're rooted in Canada because as we work through the systems of the United States right now, I want to make sure that this is living in multiple places. And
Mhm.
then there is in 2026, because of a theme that we've been seeing with chief people officers, chief diversity officers, all these, the human
Mm,
part of the C-suite, a lot of them are going to be being changed to chief collaboration officers.
mm.
Mm.
And I want the Institute to be the place that trains and certifies them and gives
That's
them
amazing.
some sort of like reliability in this new phase of C-suites.
I love that.
Me
Why
too.
Cape Town?
Well, in graduate school, I had to first go to South Africa for a project. I was working with homeless refugees in Johannesburg, and then I
Okay.
came back, back to Little Rock because that's where I was in graduate school, and then
Mhm.
realized I wanted to go back for my capstone. So I went to Cape Town for 5 months to work with the UN, looking at how LGBT refugees were given asylum through the Department of Home Affairs.
Mhm.
So did this project, then went back never thought I was going back, but then got hired by a nonprofit, ran programming in Southern Africa. Before I knew it, Cape Town and South Africa had like people that I considered family, and
Mm.
I
Mhm.
believe that Cape Town is going to be the healing center of the globe.
Why?
Between
Why? Why? Why?
between the mountains and the ocean and the mindset of the people and the calmness,
Huh.
and
Mm.
Okay.
the ability to hold the paradoxes so well at being at the towards the base of the continent. It's I just
Interesting.
I
That is
That's
very
can't
interesting.
fascinating.
I want to everyone to just be there for 15 minutes to feel it, and then they're like, "Oh, I see what
Mm.
Greg means."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but I feel I'm an atheist, but there is something I feel when I go to a redwood forest that I can't explain.
Mm.
So I get it. I get what you're saying. Yeah. I call redwood forests my church. That's my church. That feels holy to me. And it's mystical and I can't explain it. And so I feel like there are these places in the world that you just go, something's different here,
Right.
you know? Yeah,
And
that's
and
cool.
the magic in not being able to explain it and not needing to
Uh-huh.
explain it.
I
That's
don't
yeah.
need to. That's right.
Ooh, I
It's
feel an
just my church.
international trip coming up.
I love it. Let's do some little shorter fun
Rapid fire.
questions. Rapid well ish. We never
I
rapid
talk
fire
a
them.
lot, so I apologize right now.
Stop
No,
it.
you're
Stop it right
good. You're
now.
No,
good.
about rapid fire because anyway, okay, I'm shutting up
No,
until I
no,
hear a
you're good.
question.
You're good. So when you're sitting down to write, do you have a ritual with it? Do you have coffee, music, quiet, glass of wine? What are you? What is your ritual?
This all comes to me mostly when I'm walking.
Oh.
Like walking is a huge part of my habits and a part of my process for everything.
Mhm.
And usually when I'm walking or listening to a podcast or a book or whatever, if something just gets dropped in there, I'll put it in my phone quickly.
Mhm.
Or if I'm so inspired, I'll start writing about it immediately. But then I have
Well.
a document where I've got different prompts and ideas that I've come up with, and I just feel with what is speaking to me at the time. I try
Mhm.
to
Mm.
do, have a calendar it out. So by the Tuesday, the following weeks is almost ready. But sometimes it will be Wednesday night and I will completely change everything and then
No.
and get up early at like 4:30 in the morning and be like, "Oh." And sometimes I'll just get until later in the day and still not have it sent. Rarely. Usually it goes out about 7 a.m. on Thursday morning.
Oh, interesting.
Hey, if Thursday Thoughts had a theme song, what would it be?
This is kind of a hard one.
Yeah, that is
Start with genre. Is there a genre? That might be easier.
I mean, it would be between like an 80s sitcom
Okay.
like song also, but also it have like a healing sense,
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah, like it's like here's the show, something like that. I don't know exactly, but I feel like there's probably a better song to think of. Let's go on, and I'll let it ruminate back
Yeah,
here.
marinate.
Yeah.
My friends and I used to do, for fun, because theater people are weird, we used to do our sitcom entrances, right? So it'd be like, oh, you're rushing through the door, and then you lean on the door and look at the camera, right? So we had all these sitcom entrances that we would always do. Or you're doing like you're typing, that thing. That thing. If you're listening to the podcast and not looking at it, you gotta go look at it to see what that
And
is,
if
It
you're a
because
was
I
a
theater
can't
very like
explain
person,
Zach
it.
Morris turning to the camera and,
Yeah. Yeah.
giving a wily
Yeah.
grin.
It's like, "Oh, here I am breaking that fourth wall,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, me.
upsetting Meisner in his grave.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay. Do
Do you remember the subject line of your very first Thursday email?
It was about being the Thursday thoughts, like setting the intention of it, but I don't
Oh.
remember the exact one. No. I mean, you have the book in front of
Wah,
you.
wah.
You'd be
No, I
able to
do.
tell
Oh,
me.
that's
Should I just look it
true.
up? All right,
Yeah,
I'll
look
look it
it
up.
up.
Is the first one in the book?
I put an introduction and a conclusion there, but
Sure.
after the introduction, it should be.
We'll wait.
Thank you. Okay. January 18th. How do you use your energy?
Oh, it's because I was doing a live pod version of my podcast and I wanted to promote that. So that makes
Mm.
sense. Yes.
January
Okay.
25th is I broke my glasses. Just broke them.
That's crazy.
No grandiose story of my shoveling and slipping. No holiday BB gun. They just broke.
Holiday
I leave you
BB
with that.
gun. I love that reference. So collaboration aside, let's step away from collaboration for a hot second. What's one thing you really like to do alone?
Um,
You went blue, didn't you? Did you go blue?
I love to be alone. Like
Do-
that's why you got that smirk, because I love people so much, but then I also
Mhm.
love me even more. Like
Aw.
I'm
That's so great.
Ashley, you are one of my
Yeah.
favorite humans on this entire earth. And also I'm a lot of fun and I like just being by myself. So, but
Yeah,
just
there's no, I mean,
yeah.
nobody who's really close to you should begrudge
Right.
you
Right.
the
No.
recharging and the space to be alone and think.
But I would say one of my favorite things is taking a gummy and putting in like headphones and like getting on like the Elderbrook station on Spotify or something like that, where I'm just jamming and just in my own space, just
Mm.
going for,
That's fun.
walking or
I like
sitting
that.
and yeah.
Yeah, I need to listen to more music. I don't listen to enough music, and I need to. That's just a confession. There we go. Okay.
I also like to stand up eating in the kitchen.
You do?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is my preferred place for breakfast and lunch.
I like to eat with my fingers.
All right. My daughter likes to eat with chopsticks. We asked her why, and she said, I don't know, it just feels right.
Like, even the best for me is salad. I love eating salad with my fingers. I don't do it at a restaurant. Don't worry.
Even if
Well,
you
that's good.
did,
But
there's no judgment, but I love that response. It just feels right. I think that should be the
yeah, it
response
does
used a lot
to
more often.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just feels right.
Yeah. If it is, especially for anything that is not bugging another person, but we have some weird social idea that you're not supposed to do it, right? Like, women over 50 can only dress this way. Well, no, this is what feels right, like do what you're going to do. I like that. I
Sticking
like it
to
too.
these old systems and these old rules is not serving anyone.
True
Mm-mm.
story.
Let go of attachment, let go of expectation, figure yourself out, and then go with it.
Yeah,
As long as it doesn't hurt or harm anyone else. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Thank you very much.
I like it.
Greg, you've been so open in your writing. What's something fun or quirky about you that didn't make it into the book?
Um, I just yesterday wrote, which would be a Thursday, sent out. I wrote about my grandma, and I think that
Mm.
there should be more of my grandma's influence into my writing. It is in
Hmm.
the big book, The Life Cycle Collaboration, which helps people go through the course if they don't want to take it with me in person. But the which is talks about a collaborative framework. That's a different conversation. But my grandma has been such an influence from the get-go. We lost my grandpa when I was 9. And so I mean, pretty codependent, in a
Yeah.
it was, I mean, in a harmful way, probably for a little while, me and grandma. But like it was, I mean, I remember this story needs to come out soon. It's about us fixing a toilet when I was like 10 years old and my grandma
Uh-huh.
just crying because she was still mourning the
Oh.
loss and I'm like, we'll get it
Oh,
done. We'll get it like and little Greg
oh,
Potter saying
10-year
we'll
old
figure it out,
you.
but grandma and I learned from each other so much,
Mm.
in those years and to the point where when I came out, she was trying to set me up with people at church and we'd go get drunk together and all these things. So more of
She sounds like a blast.
right, more of those influence. Oh my God, my 22nd birthday, she came out to Vegas and did body shots off of a bartender and then went and gave a lecture on special education the next day. That's yeah.
Wow.
Um,
That's amazing.
So grandma's a hoot.
yeah. So, but I think it's those stories of more about my childhood and more about the
Mm.
earlier onset things of what made who and what made me me.
Interesting. I like that. I would love to read those.
Yeah,
Well,
your stories are fun and insightful, and I can't wait to hear more of them.
thank you.
Is there anything else you would like us to know, Greg?
I believe that every story, everything we do involves collaboration in some sense. With the collaborative framework, we started the grocery store checkout line and we evaluate that into looking at how that is our collaboration, unintentional because we don't really call it collaboration,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it brings out unique and powerful lessons on how we can be better collaborators and better humans outside of it.
Mm.
So the thing I'd leave with listeners is just be kind to yourself and step back and look at what really happened and see and try to like invite yourself to be honest about it without expectations or attachments to outcomes, and look at it and see, was there something I can learn from here for the next time this happens, as you know,
Mm.
as a collaborator in what was going on. I hope that makes sense.
It does. I love that. I love that that's what you're leaving us with. That's really great.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Greg.
You're
Yeah.
so welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Great way to start my Friday.
Whoop! Me too, actually.
Yeah, same. This has been such a treat. I really enjoyed talking with Gregg. Thank you for bringing him to us, Ashley. And thank you, Gregg, for sharing not only your book, but your process, your honesty, and your perspective on collaboration. You, the listener, can find all the information about where to find Gregg and buy his book in the show notes, as always.
Thursday Thoughts is out now, and you can read it front to back or just jump in wherever you feel called. Greg reminds us that we don't need all the answers to make an impact. We just need to show up with openness and honesty.
And thanks for tuning in to Authors Aloud. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss our next conversation with a new author. Thanks. Bye.